So no, I am very happy to be joining this thing.
Hi, my name is Pamela Cornell, and
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Wi-Fi Power Hour, behind the scenes path to the C-suite. We're going to give just a minute or two here for some other people to join us, but we've already got a pretty healthy crew on the line here. So my name is Crosby Hall. I'm the Chief Administrative Officer at Louisville Tile. It's also my family's business, so I'm one of the owners, and I'm going to be moderating our discussion today with our awesome panelists. If you guys want to introduce yourself in the chat or say hello, tell us where you're joining from. We'd love to hear from you while we wait for a few more moments here. I'll say Aaron West has offered to moderate our chat today, so we're going to try to get you guys involved in sharing some of your thoughts as we go along and hear from the ladies, and let us know if something resonates with you. Feel free to use the reaction buttons up at the top if something hits home, because it can be kind of daunting to be talking into a screen. All right, it's 12:02, so we'll go ahead and get started. I see some people I know out there, so that's nice, comforting. Okay, let's get going. All right, so I am a volunteer with Wi-Fi. I'm on the professional development committee. Wi-Fi stands for Women in Floor Covering Industry. And our mission is to attract, educate, and empower women in the flooring industry. And we have people from all segments like carpet fibers, LVT, tile, carpet, dyes, anything you can think of, hardwood. It's great. If you touch the flooring industry, you're welcome to participate. They were launched in 2021 on International Women's Day. And Wi-Fi is a 501c3 nonprofit educational institution. I want to thank the Wi-Fi board of directors, who you can see listed here. And thank you to our corporate friends of Wi-Fi and Wi-Fi affiliates, who are our awesome sponsors. I want to share that Wi-Fi has an incredible mentoring program. If you feel like you are being called to be a mentor to someone, or you want to be a mentee, and I'll say that a lot of people that sign up to be a mentee could really be a mentor. So don't be afraid to stretch your wings a little bit. We need a lot of mentors. It's an adult to adult match designed to help you grow professionally and personally. It's a 6-month commitment. And the next cohort kicks off in the first quarter of 2026 after all the holiday madness. So you can apply now at womeninfloorcovering.org/mentoring. We also have a scholarship program. I see one of our scholarship winners on the line here. In June, Wi-Fi awarded 16 recipients a total of $30,000 for post-secondary education, including college degrees, trade and technical school, continuing education, including non-degree courses, certifications, conference, and training programs. So the next round opens in January, and I'll say people that I've recommended, almost all of them have won, so take a chance and apply for a scholarship. We also have a Wi-Fi book club. The book club meetings are from 12 to 1. You can see the dates listed here. So if you're interested, look on the Wi-Fi website and /book club. And we also have some live events. So if you are going to TICE/services, there is a live meetup on January 26th at 3 p.m. Confidence as a Strategy, and at 5 p.m. the Mentoring Connection Women's Reception. And then also on the 28th, there's a networking breakfast in the Mohawk booth, and that is always a really fun event. So I encourage you to join and meet some of the people that you've seen on the screen but never maybe met in person. Okay, today we are joined by 3 awesome panelists. Our topic is behind the scenes, path to the C-suite. So our first panelist is Lynn Druan. Lynn serves as Chief Financial Officer at UCX, a leading flooring distributor headquartered in Mansfield, Massachusetts. She joined UCX in March 2025 as the only female member of the company's executive leadership team, reporting directly to the president. In her role as CFO, Lynn oversees finance, credit and collections, procurement, and inventory control. She's responsible for strengthening and streamlining financial operations, driving process reengineering, implementing systems improvements, while promoting operational efficiency across the organization. Prior to joining UCX, Lynn served as CFO of Matter Surfaces, a commercial flooring supplier, where she held a broad portfolio encompassing finance, purchasing, credit and collections, and IT. Her tenure included a strong focus on financial strategy, systems implementation, and process redesign. With more than 2 decades of progressive financial leadership, Lynn has built a reputation for combing strategic vision with hands-on execution, thriving in environments that demand robust systems architecture, disciplined financial controls, and transformative operational initiatives. Beyond her professional achievements, Lynn is recognized for her collaborative leadership style, commitment to operational excellence, and ability to align finance functions with broader business goals. At UCX, she plays a pivotal role in advancing the company's growth and delivering on its promise of the ultimate customer experience. Give a clap for Lynn. We also have Laura McCandless. Laura is the Chief Technology Officer for AFS Group, the country's 3rd largest specialty retailer. Laura grew up in the flooring industry and has extensive experience on both the dealer and software sides of the business. She previously served as the IT and Operations Director at National Design Mart, business consultant at RFMS, and the General Manager of JP Flooring. Laura is currently working on the 2nd phase of a custom warehouse management system for AFS, as well as a data lakehouse, which is a real thing, that will serve as the basis for automation, generative AI, and agentic AI in the company's business process. In her leisure time, Laura enjoys traveling, reading, gardening, and spending time with her family. I thought a data lakehouse was just a more fun version of a data warehouse, but that's not true. Okay, and last but not least, we have my coworker, Tina Boyle. I'm absolutely delighted to introduce Tina from Louisville Tile Distributors, a true trailblazer, joining us today. Tina's career is a testament to dedication and growth within the flooring industry, proving she truly knows how to wear many hats. She began her tenure at Louisville Tile over 32 years ago as an receptionist in the firm's Cameo Marble division. Over the decades, her experience deepened as she successfully took on a wide variety of integral roles, including accounts payable and receivable clerk, showroom designer, contractor sales, customer service, IT, and acquisitions project manager, before ultimately serving as VP of warehouse operations. Today, Tina holds the position of Chief Operating Officer. In this capacity, she oversees ops across all 12 branches. Please welcome me in celebrating these 3 panelists as we move into our discussion. All right. So our first question, we're going to start by talking about pivotal moments, the turning points that set each of you on your leadership path. And one of our first questions was, what was the turning point or pivotal moment in your career that set you on a path to the C-suite? So Lynn, I'm going to start with you as you tell us about a mentor that transformed how you thought about leadership and opportunity.
Yeah, I think I always thought through my career and was very intentional about growth and being driven with some clear vision of where I wanted to go in finance specifically. Long term, I definitely had goals around reaching that executive level, seeking out, opportunities that really stretched my skill, and even working with organizations with some well-established teams that gave me a wealth of knowledge. But for me, the real turning point in my career came when I joined a smaller company, a family-run business. And unbeknownst to me at the time, they were really preparing for some transformational growth and positioning themselves for future. So I think it was just before maybe my second or third anniversary, and the company elevated that top finance role and brought in the seasoned CFO. He really quickly became my first true mentor. And I've been lucky that I've had really two influential leaders in my career. But for me, having someone that had already walked the walk, um, that was a mentorship that really turned from just being involved in the day-to-day and put me on a trajectory towards that executive goal that I had already had. I think after proving myself with a couple key projects, he began including me in some higher level discussions and projects that were probably above my title, honestly, and capabilities at the time. But he really took the time to help me think more strategically about my career, about the company. He really encouraged me to build a development plan with some tangible milestones that I could hit, and challenged how I really approached day-to-day operations, just constantly pushing me to be better and see the bigger picture. Um, and I think at the end of the day, he may not even realize it, but he opened doors for me that I never knew existed. And he taught me how to walk through them with purpose and presence. So that mentorship and that ability to talk to someone that had walked that path was really the turning point that helped shape my career.
Guys, I love that line that she said. He didn't just open doors for me. He taught me how to walk through them with purpose and presence. I think that is amazing. Thank you, Lynn. Tina, would you like to share next on your journey through every level of our organization?
Yeah, it's probably not the traditional way that people choose to do a career. I never thought flooring was, as many of us in the flooring industry, we don't choose flooring. It kind of chooses us. And probably in our industry, honestly, we see more of that longevity in the positions. At least I have, and a lot of the people I've met, it seems like people, once they get in flooring, they stay in flooring. That's exactly what I did. So my turning point, it actually wasn't just one single event, but rather it was a realization that every position I held within that company was preparing me for something bigger. As Crosby had mentioned, I started a very entry-level position as a receptionist, and my curiosity just, it started going. And I always like to challenge myself, so I continued to work through different positions. I thought I wanted to be an accountant, so I went to school, and Louisville Tile was kind enough to put me into the accounting department to help me see if that's the direction I really wanted to go. And I quickly realized, nope, I'm more of a people person. I needed to be out of there. So I just continued to try different areas of the business. When I went to contractor sales, I realized that's probably more along the lines I wanted to be. But each role, it just gave me a different lens into how the company runs, how decisions impact people and performance, and how to connect that strategy with the actual execution. The depth of my experience became my actual foundation for becoming the COO. It taught me to see the full picture. When I make a decision, I'm not just looking at it from a high level viewpoint. I'm really looking at how it supports all the different departments, how they're going to work together. From the warehouse floor, I'm all the way up to creating a due diligence reports. I have a very strong focus on leading with both empathy and accountability. And women in this role, you have to kind of find where that balance is, for sure. So my pivotal moment, I guess it really wasn't just one moment, but it's when I realized that my journey through every position, every level of the organization, it wasn't just career progression, it was actually preparation for this role.
Yeah, and Tina, something that you shared previously was sometimes it's about deepening the impact where you already are. which I think is a great thought, because a lot of times people think you have to move and bounce around to grow and to get different experiences, but your story is very unique in that way. Thank you. Laura,
Thank
would you
you.
like to share?
Absolutely. I would say for me, the pivotal moment was very much an internal experience where I had many things going on in my life that just caused me to pause and say, am I choosing an environment that matches both my values and my goals? And I had certainly learned a lot early in my career, and similarly to the story that Tina told, worn a lot of hats and garnered a lot of different experience throughout the industry. But I was at a point where I felt like my growth was slowing, and I needed to be intentional about making the decision to step into a space where my voice and my ideas and my leadership had more room to expand. It was a hard decision, and while it certainly wasn't easy, it was transformative. And once I really aligned myself with those ideas and an environment that expected me to lead at that high level, everything accelerated. So I think ultimately it was a decision to trust my own potential and to look for something that was the best fit for me that put me on the path to the C-suite.
Great. Thank you, Laura. Of course, no journey is without doubt or detours. So let's talk about those moments when the path to leadership felt uncertain. Were there moments where you doubted your path to leadership, and how did you push through them? So I'm going to start with Laura.
I think that's inevitable in leadership. It really is just part of what it means to be a leader, is that you have that self-reflection and moments of doubt. But when I look back in retrospect, I would say all of the major moments of doubt came at those inflection points where I was considering a transition or doing something differently. And I think whether it is changing roles within the same company or moving to a new company, it's really easy to convince yourself like, oh, I'm not there yet. I'm not quite ready. And I think I really frame it as ready is not a feeling, ready is a decision. And when you make that decision, you push through the doubt by preparing. And so, when you have those inflection points, consider what are the hard and soft skills that you need to be successful at the next level. And then utilize your network, utilize the people that you know, and who are willing to mentor you, and the resources that you have, whether it's for education or other experiences, to prepare. So, that's really my encouragement on pushing through the doubt, is do the work to push through it.
Laura, I love that readiness is not a decision, it's a feeling. There's so many things that we could say, we'll do it when the time is perfect or the conditions are right. And if you did that, you may never do it. So you just jump in and then you make yourself do it when the time comes.
I always say that the family crest says fortune favors the bold. And I really believe that that's equally true in leadership. So
I love that. I agree. Lynn, can you tell us about how you built a circle of trusted advisors to regain focus during uncertainty?
Absolutely. So I would describe my own leadership road to definitely not be a straight line. And I think despite all that kind of careful planning, there were plenty of moments throughout my journey that were filled with self-doubt, doubt of others, maybe even people working against me, which really did help lead to the doubt that I had in myself. I questioned certainly throughout my tenure at places whether I was on the right path, especially stepping into bigger roles and kind of leading complex or high stakes projects, maybe even roles that were, like Laura said, a little bit above my capabilities at the time. So I think what's really helped me during those times was having that inner circle, small circle of really trusted mentors, peers, even some family members that I could go to with honest emotion and problems, and sometimes it was just them listening, and sometimes it was them providing me with honest feedback. So I've tried to keep that circle small of trusted people, but they certainly have helped quiet the noise over the years and give me a little bit of perspective, even invested in my development and help remind me to kind of refocus in on my purpose instead of kind of those fears that I've had. I think one quote that's really stuck with me over the years is success is rented and the rent is due every day. And I think those words can't be truer. So whenever I doubt myself or have challenges, I just keep reminding myself that success, it's not a one-time achievement or event. It's really about showing up, doing the work, pushing through the hard stuff. And it's about that grit and consistency and acting with purpose. And I'll add this, just, while you're busy doubting yourself, I think there's plenty of people out there that are already inspired and even impressed by who you already are, and by the potential that you still have to grow.
I think that's so important to remember. And I'm a big believer in having a mentor. Another plug for the Wi-Fi mentorship program, if you don't have one or want to get in contact with one, and even just having a circle of peers that you talk to, the person doesn't have to have the answer, but even the fact that somebody validates what you're going through can, I think, take a load off your shoulders sometimes, that just what you feel is, real. Tina, can you tell us, a time when you've struggled with self-doubt about staying loyal to one company, but, reframing it as deepening impact?
Yeah, I mean, geez, you guys saw me grow up there. So I brought my
Same.
baggage all the way through my career. So if I made a mistake, everybody remembers it. That's probably one of the hardest things, but having to change that perception. We mature as we grow, and I definitely did in my career. But yeah, there were definitely doubts, or moments that I doubted my path. Mainly watching people come and go and seeing them advance so quickly in their careers, by moving in between companies. So it kind of made me question whether staying with one organization was the right decision. It also made me wonder if I was maybe missing opportunities by staying loyal to one company. So on top of that, I think I worked under a lot of different leaders, and not all of them were great examples. So there were times I'd struggle to see how my own leadership style would kind of fit or involve. But instead of just letting that discourage me, honestly, I just tried to learn from it. I focused on taking the best qualities from each one of the leaders that I had. I worked under it. I took their coaching. I picked the best points of integrity. I learned to be a better communicator, and I learned how to hold people accountable even when they weren't holding me accountable. And I used those experiences to shape who I wanted to be as a leader. So pushing through those doubts, it just, it came down to trusting growth. It's not always about changing companies. Sometimes it's just about deepening the impact where you're at with your company.
I love that. Okay, speaking of leadership style, let's dig into how that's evolved over time. So our next question is, how did your leadership style evolve from early management roles to the C-suite? So Tina, I'll go back to you. Can you talk about moving from seeking perfection to embracing accountability and change?
Whew. Yeah, my leadership style has definitely evolved, and I'm glad it has. As I went through, early management roles to a COO, but early in my career, I often felt the need to have all the answers. And when things didn't go as planned, I sometimes looked outward for reasons rather than looking inward for solutions. You got to get out of the blaming game and start thinking, how do I make this better? Over time, I kind of learned to take true accountability. I had to own my own outcomes, both good and bad. And that shift is completely what changed the direction and how I led. I stopped making excuses and started focusing on the things that I could control, my mindset, my preparation, all my follow through, I learned to get, comfortable being uncomfortable. We have to do that. Those are the most memorable moments, honestly. I stopped making excuses and I started focusing on what I could control. I also became a little bit more confident in speaking up. as long as I had supportive data and a clear rationale. One thing I didn't want to do was speak up and be shot down. The balance, of that courage and the credibility, it just helped me to become a little stronger, more respected voice at the table. And I guess another key lesson was probably understanding that change, it's not only inevitable, but it's incredibly healthy. That includes being willing to involve processes, strategies, and sometimes even people when the organization's needs shift. That's hard to do, is deciding if you need those same people around you. So.
Tina, I have a bonus question. How do you help your team? How do you help your team also get comfortable being uncomfortable? Because that's a tough one.
Wow. I just challenge them. I mean, I do. One thing I do is I don't want to be this wealth of knowledge. I try to take everything I know and share it. I don't want to be the expert at everything. I want to, I need to move on. In my role, I've moved on to a different position on average about every 3 years. So what I needed to do was really train my team up. So that's been mainly my focus on how I did that, is just really working with them. I can be a little hard to work for because I do expect a lot, but people know that coming in, and I don't know, I like looking around the room. I even seen people on this meeting that I had a hand in helping develop, and I like the fact that, I hired some of those folks and now they're leaders on their own as well. And I have one of them on the screen right now who's actually created a leadership class for our company. So we're constantly looking at what are the next steps for our people and how to move forward.
Good answer. Okay, Lynn, can you tell us about how you shifted from control and micromanagement to empowerment and servant leadership?
Absolutely. I would say my leadership style has really matured over time as I've moved more towards a servant leader. I think early in my career in my management, I believe knowledge was power. And I always wanted to be the smartest person in the room and show others how capable I was. And some of that probably was a lack of confidence, to be quite honest. But now I see the power, and what the real power is, sharing that knowledge and surrounding myself with people that are actually smarter than me. And I think when my focus shifted from, gaining the knowledge for myself to more building trust and confidence and capabilities within my team, whether it be leading with transparency, openly sharing information, everything kind of changed. In the beginning, I was definitely focused on managing the people, managing the process, probably even micromanaging at times. If anyone knows me from early on in my management, I stayed close to the details, and often I felt like I had to jump in when things went sideways, because I thought that's what management and leadership looked like. As time went on, I realized my real role wasn't to manage the work or even the people. It was to help them and remove some roadblocks. So when I started focusing more on building relationships and supporting the team, I think that's really when I started to see growth, not only in the teams, but also in myself. And that's really when the success started to come more naturally for everybody. So I learned to lead both with empathy and accountability, to listen with intent, to understand rather than just to reply. And I think as I trust the team, I can let go and feel like I don't have to own the details, and things aren't going to fall off the rails. I don't need to micromanage everything. So that shift, I think, made me a better leader. It built stronger, more empowered teams, and definitely more engaged teams.
I heard you and Tina mention empathy both, and I think as women, because this is women in floor covering industry, that is one of our superpowers. So Laura, can you tell us about how you transitioned from process-focused to people-focused leadership, emphasizing on team dynamics?
Absolutely. So in the beginning of my leadership journey, I was definitely focused on process. And my team will tell you I'm still a total process geek, and I love, a good operational challenge and being able to dig in and solve that for the company. But I really have learned in the course of my career that the focus needs to be on the people. You can design the most perfect business process, but the people are the ones that breathe life into it. You have to get their buy-in, their commitment. They need to understand the why. And putting those right people in the right seats will ultimately lead to the best business outcomes. I think more deeply, I've also learned to put much more focus on really understanding the people who report directly to me as individuals. I think this has allowed me to mentor and develop them in very meaningful ways. And for me, in the latter half of my career here, I've learned that the team really is a living thing, that I have to nurture the team as if it is a living, breathing organism, that it isn't just about my relationship with my team members. It's also about their relationships with each other and how that team dynamic affects the work that we do together. It is, we use a radical candor framework on our team. So care personally, challenge directly. And we have a quarterly boot camp, which sounds scary and harsh, but it's actually one of the most meaningful things we do. And so quarterly, the team picks a soft skill that we focus on. And for our upcoming boot camp, it's about conflict and how to be good at conflict. So I really have tried to work with my team to embed those soft skills in every aspect of what they're doing. I think there is a certain point where if you've built the right team, you trust in the technical or hard skills that they have, but you can continue to accelerate them by helping them to be better team members, better communicators, and really meeting them where they are as individuals to grow them personally. And, as I kind of look towards retirement now, I do consider that to be the privilege of this time in my career, to offer that sort of insight to my direct reports and throughout my organization to really help people grow and be able to take on leadership roles and teams of their own.
It's interesting. All three of you touched on this shift from managing to empowering. And this question is to all three of you. What was the aha moment that helped you let go of control and trust your team?
I think it starts with just hiring the right people. Honestly, you have to, that's probably the hardest part, is getting that right team built. And once you do, once they start meeting or exceeding your expectations, you kind of, you feel okay releasing some of that control. Yeah, when I don't have to go back and check anybody's work, I'm good.
I think it's also like self-reflection. I know for me personally, one of the things I disliked the most in the course of my career and my own managers was being micromanaged. And so, sort of looking at having that moment of self-reflection and going, okay, being a control freak because you want to make sure everything turns out right, you're effectively doing the thing that you don't like when somebody manages you. And so for me, what I really learned to do is to communicate very clearly what I wanted the outcome to be of the project that my team is given. And then knowing that they're talented and that they'll communicate, regular updates, just trusting them to execute it in the way that is the best fit for their style and skill set. There might be 5 different roads to get there. And I've just learned that they're capable. I just need to focus on what is the end result and let them be flexible about the path.
I think one other thing I'll just throw in there real quick is that you can't treat everybody the same. You got to be able to adapt your leadership style, different ways for different folks, and that's okay. And that if you can do that, that is really a true key to being a successful leader, in my opinion.
For me, I got to agree with Laura. It was definitely more self-reflection. When I wasn't getting the outcomes that I wanted, it was, always the blame, like lack of confidence. What is it that I'm doing wrong? And I think it was that, constant building of the team, and they are getting the right answer. It doesn't always have to be my way. It doesn't mean it's the right way. But as long as we're getting to the same place, um, it allowed me to trust them more. And that was really when things started to change.
One of our mentors at Louisville Tile is on the call. She sends out an email every week that's like an inspiring leadership message. And one of hers was, what does winning look like? And when you're starting on a project, you should say, what is success going to look like? So kind of to your point, Laura, like, as long as it looks like this at the end, I don't care how you get there. And I trust that you're going to get it done. I don't need to look over your shoulder. And that's such a simple thing, but we forget to do that a lot of times. So that was a timely message for this talk. Okay, so we're going to segue to the next question. Leadership isn't all upward momentum. It comes with trade-offs. I'd love to talk about the sacrifices and what you've learned from them. So our next question is, what sacrifices or trade-offs did you make on the way up, and would you make them again? So Lynn, I'm going to start with you. And your story of work-life imbalance and burnout.
Yeah. So I'll be honest, working in a male-dominated industry like flooring, and I've worked in a couple others, I've often felt like I've had to work twice as hard to be recognized and even to progress in my career. And one of the biggest trade-offs that I've had along the way is a poor work-life balance. I think coming from a household where both of my parents worked two jobs, I was determined out of the gate to work smarter and not harder. But the reality of climbing the ladder for me meant long nights, weekends, and travel, which came with a lot of mom guilt along the way. I missed some milestone moments with my two girls. I, sat on the outfield of softball games with my laptop in my lap. I've worked during dance practice, sitting in my car, even woke up in the middle of the night to catch up on a few emails or finish reports. And at the time, I believed that those sacrifices, and the sacrifice being my own time, was just part of what it looked like and what it took to grow and kind of prove myself. I think looking back, I realized it wasn't just me being a hard worker. It was really more of a lack of balance and a lack of boundaries combined with my type A workaholic tendencies. And what it did really was lead to burnout. One of the most valuable lessons I think I've learned is that everyone's journey looks different. Mine has been more about resilience and setting the right expectations for myself, and then understanding what truly matters so that I can set boundaries. And I think being just more intentional with my time and my energy. So would I do it again? I think in many ways, I'm sad to say yes, because I know some of the sacrifices along the way. But there's been a lot of lessons that I've learned, and sometimes that outweighs the sacrifices that you make. I think I might do it differently. I'd probably set clearer boundaries and give myself a little bit more grace, and probably define what success looks like in a more sustainable way. And success isn't always on paper. It's not always a job title.
Lynn, what kind of boundaries do you set for yourself now?
For me, it's time. It's more about at 5 o'clock, it's time to go home. That becomes family time at that point. I want to sit down and have family dinner. I don't turn my phone on most of the time, so I'm not checking emails. It becomes personal time once I walk out the door.
It's a good rule. Laura, can you talk to us about taking a career pause for family and then regaining momentum later through consulting and travel?
Yes. When I was in my mid-30s, my youngest daughter was born, and I actually left the workforce for 5 years. It was a beautiful time for my family, and I look back on especially her as a 5-year-old, and that was one of the sweetest years that I've ever had in my life. But on the flip side, it meant that I lost momentum in my career, and that trade-off was worth it. But when I returned to work as a business consultant, I was traveling extensively. And so I went from really being full-time with the family to almost being full-time away from my family. It did, however, allow me to gain extensive experience in a wide variety of flooring companies. So I think that while I didn't necessarily have balance in the 5 years of not working, or in the maybe 2.5 years when I went back, over time, those decisions on the scale have started to even out. And I think ultimately it led me to the place where I am now, where I absolutely would make those same decisions. I love the life that I have and the work that I do. And so I think that just tells me that despite the perhaps different trajectory there, it was worth it.
Thank you. Tina, would you like to share?
Some of my, I had a little different, I explained this to Crosby the other day. I have a little different experience. I didn't have a family, so my main focus was just on work. So I went home and I was constantly just looking for ways to improve myself. I would think about things. I'd go to sleep thinking about things. I would think about work in the shower. I mean, it was just a constant for me. So I just kind of poured myself into my job. And I've done that ever since. I just, yeah, it's been my main focus. Now, as I'm gotten older, I try to do more hobbies, but definitely I was one of those people who was just completely all about work. And now it's kind of nice to know that I invested that time. But moving forward, I think, I wanted to have a better balance of work and outside life. And so, yeah, it was just a little bit different path than most people have. So.
Agree. Okay, I'm going to hit up our bonus question that we have, and I would like our participants to chime in the chat with this one. What behind the scenes work habits or choices do you credit with your advancement or things people wouldn't see on a resume? So, Laura, you have a lot to say on this one, so we'll go to you.
I do actually. This is an important one for me. I'm a lifelong learner. I'm an avid, voracious reader, a podcast listener. I'm really making an intentional effort to stay in a student mindset and to focus on ways in which I can absorb new knowledge and new experiences. I very intentionally direct my time and energy. And one of the things that I tell people, and they're somewhat surprised, I don't watch television at all, and I don't participate in any social media whatsoever. I really feel like modern life fractures our focus and attention. And so I try to just turn the noise down on all of those things that suck time away. And we were talking about this in the pre conversation before the live meeting. I've been learning to speak Spanish for the last few years. Like, I wouldn't have the time to do that if I was doom scrolling on, Facebook every night. So I think it's a good trade-off. I also really feel like, and this is, certainly something that I've had the capability and the benefit to be able to do as I've gone upwards in my career, but really choosing the value of your time. So if I have something that I need to do around the house or a certain type of errands or busy work, there are a lot of times I'll be like, okay, I'm going to hire TaskRabbit for this, or I can utilize some external resources to get this done. That when you are very busy in your personal and professional life and you have a lot of responsibility, recognizing that maybe spending 2 hours like mucking out the garage and hosing it out is not the best use of that time. Like, if I could actually use that to relax and do something that, fills me back up, I should, and I can, pay someone to hose the garage out, right? So there's really being mindful of how you're spending your time and doing the things that I I think you can't pour from an empty bucket. And especially when you have a big team and a lot of responsibility, making sure that what you're doing behind the scenes in your spare time is filling you back up.
Yeah. I have one other quick question and the chat can answer this too, but since this is women in floor covering industry, what's one quality you think will matter more than ever for the next generation of women leaders in this industry? Anybody brave enough to take that one on? I'm going to say being brave enough to just share your failures with people, because I think that takes vulnerability and helps people learn a lot. We were saying in our pre-calls that nobody stops when they made it to their C-suite position or feels like they've exactly made it, and it's still hard every day and you still feel like you're proving yourself every day. So I want that to be an important message that gets across to everybody. All these panelists, they still deal with doubt every day and are still trying to prove themselves. So nobody's got it made 100% of the time.
Yeah, I still don't know what I want to do when I grow up. So it's something you're constantly thinking about.
Sylvie says being authentic. I think that's a great answer. Aaron says it's okay to ask for help. I love that. Nicole says reaching back to others rather than pulling the ladder up behind us. And I think that's a great answer too. I'm going to open up the floor for questions. So you can either yell out, raise your hand, put a question in the chat. Nick says having the heart of a teacher, which is his official tagline that we love. Such a good one. At this time, does anybody have a question for our panelists?
Don't be shy. This is our favorite part. It's always interesting to know what you're thinking.
Was there anything that resonated with somebody particularly, or are you willing to share a takeaway from today?
So quiet.
Okay. I'll say the next generation of women leaders should not be afraid to speak up.
Yes, I was going to say the same thing. I know Crosby always, one piece of advice I'd like to just pass on. Crosby makes fun. I have a sign on the corner of my desk that says, everything is figure outable. So always, there's nothing you can do that is going to hold you back forever. Everything you can overcome. I mean, we all have these mistakes and sometimes we just dwell on them and they think that's the end and we can't get past that. You can. I've made a ton of mistakes in my career, but that's what makes you stronger. I promise you. That's what helps you grow and become a better person. So
I agree.
Absolutely.
I saw that Brandy had her hand up, so I'm hoping that means that she has a question.
Hold on, sorry. I didn't really have a question. I just wanted to thank you guys all for doing this because this isn't very inspiring. I mean, I've been in the flooring industry for 20 years now and have had my own challenges, but it's very encouraging to see, and I didn't even know about this. So it's very encouraging to see this group and the leaders, the women leaders of our industry, because as we know, not very much. So I just want to say thank you. I don't have a question. I just think you're all awesome and I appreciate you guys all.
Brandy, can you share with us what you do?
Yep. So I work for AFS, so America's Floor Source. I am sales manager for our e-com division.
Cool.
I've been doing e-commerce sales for 20 years now. So, you know, I mean, and as we all know, 20 years ago, there were not that many women leaders in the industry at all. So it was very challenging going in and meeting with the male execs and, you know, all that. But to me, I love facing those challenges because that helps me grow. That gives me confidence, and that shows other women that it can be done and we shouldn't hold back. That's
Yeah.
all.
I feel very fortunate at Louisville Tile. Our leadership team is 60% women. So,
Awesome.
Awesome. That's great.
So thank you.
yeah, no, thank you for your feedback. Anybody else have anything they want to? Tiffany has her hand up.
Yes, so I'll put my hand down now. Thank you again for coming on and putting yourselves out there. Just it's refreshing to hear this because I've been in the flooring industry for 20 plus years in various roles and have seen this and have actually gone through ebbs and flows of growth. So, you talked about your quotes that keep you focused. And one thing that I've always said to myself are obstacles or opportunities in disguise. That's kind of my go-to quote, that because we always run into obstacles and we really need to keep ourselves grounded, just with all the things that we go through.
Opportunity is one of Tina's like code words. If something's messed up, she'll say, "Well, we have an opportunity here."
Yep.
I know.
Yep.
Somebody did
Yeah,
something.
I used to have
It's a lot easier to approach it that way, trust me.
Absolutely. I used to have a mentor that would say to me every time I would say, "Oh, we have a problem," and he would say, "We have an opportunity." So that quote became my go-to.
We have a question in the chat. Kayleen says, would you say leadership develops over time, or are there other ways someone can show they're ready to take on a leadership role?
I don't think leadership is a title. While that may come in time, leadership is definitely how you show up every day, how you exemplify the qualities of your organization, and how you also help those on your team and in your organization. And I think, I know I'm very fortunate to have several members of my team right now. While they may not have a manager in their title, every day they provide supportive leadership. And I think focus on looking at where the needs are in your part of the organization, and be intentional about stepping up to those needs. And those are the things that get noticed and ultimately may lead to a formal leadership role.
So I have to completely agree with that. I think it's more about not the title. It's about really having an impact on others. And whether you're a manager of people or not, you can still be a leader in your organization, and help create that environment that allows others to thrive. Just by, we talked about listening genuinely and understanding different perspectives and supporting each other. That's what leaders do.
Yeah, one thing I really challenge my team is I want them to coach up. I want them to help make me a better leader. So, I'm looking towards them to give me good feedback. So no matter what role you're in, you can remember, you can always coach up. And that is really a start of being a leader, is being able to help your current leader. So for sure.
We had another question that I missed that said hard and soft skills were mentioned. Can you explain more about that? Is this for your team or yourselves?
For me, it's both. And so we will always have a hard skill focus. Like obviously on the tech side of the business right now, my team does co-learning in the AI space to make sure that everyone is ready. But on the soft skills side, quarterly, we always have an emphasis. So last quarter was time management. And we have 2 days where we go over a lot of different time management techniques, talk about how to implement those, what may be a good fit by personality. And then over that quarter, we challenge people to implement those into their daily work. So we really try to approach it from both. And I think that goes back to the question that was asked earlier, like what will help the next generation to succeed. And I think it is that intersection of understanding that while the hard skills are necessary, the soft skills are really the ones that differentiate leaders and differentiate great teams.
There's another question. It says, I appreciated Lynn's transparency, sharing that she's had to set boundaries. It's so hard to balance work life and family. So it's a good lesson for me to check myself working the long hours. Thank you to both Tina and Laura for sharing their perspective as well. How would you say are the best ways to encourage the ones that report to you? How are the most important ways you make them feel valuable? This is from Christy Lepley.
So I actually love this question, so I have to jump on it. I love to do career path with people and just let them know that I'm not just interested in the company, but I'm interested in them as an individual on the team, or even if they're not on the team, and helping them kind of shape where it is that they want to go and do anything that's in my power to kind of help them and push them along further in their career.
We have another question. Says, how can companies create more opportunities for women to enter and advance in flooring? I would just try to advocate for women. I mean, I'm in an HR role, and we our female HR director is here too. So it's not like you pick women over men, but if there's like we used to have a lot of male dealer reps. It was like all male dealer reps, and then slowly it was like, well, maybe once you hire one and a female dealer rep, it's like, okay, well that worked out. Maybe we should consider more female dealer reps. And it's not that you intentionally want to have more of one sex than the other, but it just opens the door for another female to feel comfortable in there, for people to see it as more normalized, or I think just including women that you know and things that you go to, networking events, and I don't know, it's I think just being inclusive of people.
I think also being brave enough to call out the ways in which women make organizations different, and how, some of the things that we've talked about here, caring personally, that level of empathy, having great cross-functional relationships and cross-functional thinking. I think being brave enough in groups, in your organization and in other places to say, this is a way in which female leadership really differentiates itself. That allows us to start building people who may not be managers in the organization to grow, but also may inspire them to say, hey, we have good things happening here. There's a job opening. You should join us.
It's hard. I mean, a lot of it too is just changing the stigma and the perception. When I was, I'll tell you a quick little story about when I'm back in the 90s, when they put me at the contractor's desk. I was the first woman to work with the contractors. They had never had a woman out there before. And when the contractors would come in, they'd always go over to my male counterpart. He'd have a long line. I wouldn't have a line in front of me. But there was a really bad snow day and he couldn't make it in, and I was the only one there. And when that first customer came in and asked to speak to a man, I did not flinch. It did not bother me. I said, absolutely. And I went and got the only man that was in the building. And maybe you remember him, Crosby. It was Walter. He was our janitor. And I brought them up there. And I said, Walter, this man would like you to help him. Walter had no idea. So I think that earned me a little bit of respect, that I was able to call him out on their, that and kind of stand up towards it. So a lot of it is just having a strong backbone, and don't take it offensively, because there are just things that we have to change, perceptions we have to change in the world, and we're doing it every single day.
I think you just have to say it's, it's okay too. Like, I'm in a lot of networking groups that are all men, and they just assume that that you're going to be uncomfortable or you don't want to participate. And you say, yes, I do. I want to be here, I see one of our female branch managers on this call. She's staring at me. We used to have no female branch managers, and now we have 3. And I think it's awesome. Okay, we are almost out of time. Any more questions? Okay, cool. This session is recorded if you want to share it with anybody special that couldn't make it. Oh, thank you. I'm glad that you like our matching outfits, Nicole. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. We had awesome participation, awesome attendance. Thank you, everybody that shared this invite with your coworkers and colleagues. Oh, we got closing slides. Not off the hook yet. Thank you for joining us. Are you a friend of Wi-Fi? If you're not, let's fix it. You can donate to Wi-Fi as an individual for $15 a month. They're corporate donations of $1,500 annually. Scan the QR code, give us your feedback on this session. We'd love to hear it. We want to know what more, what other topics you want to hear about. We're here for you all. Any more slides? That might be it. Oh, end of show. Okay, we're done, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Thank you to our panelists. Give them a clap.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I really enjoy getting to know you all over this experience and learning from you. And I look forward to staying connected in the future. And everybody have a wonderful day.
Thanks.
Thank you all so much.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.